K9000's Game Room.
Xmen is an arcade game produced by Konami in 1992. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up which, if you've been watching my videos, you will have probably realised by now it's a genre I'm very fond of. It is of course based on the Marvel comics of the same name. The character designs of the X-Men and the supervillains in the game are based on the 1989 X-Men pilot episode, X-Men Pride of the X-Men. It's a pilot that never actually led to a series. But in honesty, the designs aren't a million miles away from the designs of the more famous 90s cartoon, so they look pretty much the way a lot of X-Men fans are going to be used to seeing them, which is a big plus. One of the cool things about the game is that you actually have a choice of 6 different members of the X-Men, and that along with a wide variety of enemies really helps to break things up and keep the game exciting. Konami made a few different versions of the arcade games cabinet. I've seen a small 2-player cab, a 4-player cab, and once I even saw a 6-player version of the game that was housed in a really large cab. The game didn't receive a port back in the 16-bit days, but eventually there was a port of the game done by a company called Backbone Entertainment, which was released by Konami on the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Live Arcade in December 2010. But this was taken down a few years ago around the end of 2013, as things like this usually are when companies lose the rights to stuff and such. Okay, so the 6 X-Men present are Cyclops, Colossus, Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler and Dazzler. Personally, I think it's a pretty good selection of characters representing what will be a lot of people's favourite X-Men, with the exception of Dazzler. A lot of people probably won't have the foggiest who she is, as she's not really been used in any modern films or cartoon media. But then as this was based on a pilot, I can only guess that if the show continued, she'd have become important, and you can't blame Konami for the show not getting off the ground. The important thing though is that all the characters look great, as do the enemies and the game in general. The graphics are bright, vibrant and straight out of a cartoon. I also think I have to mention the music, which is just this mix of exciting, I'd say sort of dance type tracks, some of which have voice samples in them. I think they match the action feel of the game really well and add to the experience as a whole. Okay, so when you start you pick your X-Man or X-Men depending on how many of you are playing, and you do the usual walk along punch people in the face routine, which you do in this kind of game. Ultimately, you're looking to give the villain Magneto a good kicking, but on the way you're going to have to fight an army of hundreds of Sentinels, mutant crocodiles, swamp monsters, and end-of-level boss supervillains including Pyro, Blob, the White Queen Juggernaut Mystique. People who, if you're into the X-Men, you'll be very familiar with. So every character is able to fight with the usual punches and kicks, but they also have a unique mutant power, which can be used to defeat multiple enemies on screen at once. The use of the power is very effective but causes the character to lose health, so you shouldn't overly rely on them too much, although if you're in a corner receiving a good kicking they will get you out of trouble. This game was a massive part of my childhood, as were the X-Men in general. I read lots of comics, watched lots of comic-based TV stuff, and loved games featuring powered characters. I used to play this game at the coast all the time with my older brother. Back then there was a solid rule, and that rule was that he was Wolverine. So I usually picked Colossus, and we'd stick in coin after coin and see how far we could get. And when I have a blast on this now, it just brings back the little kid in me. I think it's a fantastic game and that you should try it. If you like this kind of game, go for it. And if you like this sort of game and you're a fan of the X-Men, then yeah, jump in. This is made specifically for you. This will be right up your alley. I think that's about all I can say on this game. You know, if I was going to give it a score, I'd probably get an 8 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching. It's K9000 signing off. Keep on gaming.